Welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. Today we are going over the trade deadline day. I mean, it's crazy. So this is part one. We're going to be doing two parts. We had to cover some of the biggest trades over the last 2 days, which was honestly, it was just nuts. If you haven't checked my other video, we covered the Tampa Bay Lightning trade already. So you want to cover, with Seattle and getting Bjorkstrand and Gord, you can go check those out on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. But so today we're going to be doing the Avs trade with the Islanders and Brock Nelson and Calum Richie going. It's going to be a great piece to talk about. We're also going to be going in pretty much every trade. So we will be going up to every trade and get a good chunk of it done in this episode. And then in the next episode, we'll do one more as well. So it's going to be a long day, man. It's honestly, it was exciting. I thought there was going to be not a lot of movement. It was a lot of high prices. And that's what we're going to be talking about a lot, is how high the prices were for a lot of these trades. So let's just jump right into this. Okay. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins sending over Vincent Desharnais to the San Jose Sharks for a 2028 5th-round pick. Now, mind you, so the reason that the Pens are doing this, it's a cap dump. It's an absolute cap dump. The guy, they signed him to a 2-year deal this year, not only for this year, but next year as well. So they end up sending him out for a 5th-round pick in 2028. It's a very long time away. But the guy only had 3 points in 34 games. He was not an everyday guy in the lineup, and San Jose needs guys to play for them next year too. So this is an easy trade. It was an easy, quick 5th-round pick. And I imagine at the end next year at the trade deadline, they can take this, retain half of his salary, and then get like a 2nd or 3rd-round pick for him. So again, it's just an easy business. You take the guy on, you get a guy that plays for you, then you can flip him later. Just makes sense for the San Jose Sharks. And Pittsburgh Penguins they're trying to get better, right? They're trying to retool while Sidney Crosby is still here. So of course they're going to move a guy off and make some space for some young guys, and then they got to pick back for it. So it's not a big deal. So Pittsburgh Penguins also are doing a trade with the Nashville Predators. So the Pittsburgh Penguins are taking on Luke Schenn, who they didn't keep, and Tommy Novak, a 27-year-old center. That's like a phenomenal little deal for Michael Bunting and a 4th-round pick. So to me, I'm a little confused on why Nashville would do this, because to me, I think Michael Bunting's good, but he has this year and next year. He is a half-point per game player, 29 points in 58 games, 14 goals, 15 assists. Again, he has this year and next year, makes $4.5 million. So the cap it, Preds save on cap, which they really didn't need to, because they have so much cap space as it is. But to me, I would say they probably get the better player out of this than Bunting, but still, I don't love it. And you get a 4th-round pick, like, cool, you already have a bunch of 1st-round picks. Like, what's a 4th going to do? To me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for the Nashville Predators, especially because they could have traded Luke Schenn and then retained on his salary. And so that's where I'm a little confused. So what you see is they get Pittsburgh Penguins get Luke Schenn, and they talk about it like, oh, we like his leadership. And I'm like, dude, you're just pumping his tires just so you can get a better trade value for him. So they end up getting a guy. He's only got 5 points in 61 games, but he's known as a defensive defenseman, a shot blocker, a penalty killer. So that's a great pickup for Pens. And again, they end up flipping him later today, so we will talk about that later. Tommy Novak as well is a 27-year-old. He's got 22 points in 52 games. I mean, he's a 27-year-old. Yeah, he's a project you want to take him on? Absolutely, because he's like a young guy. That's what Pittsburgh is trying to do. They're trying to get younger, and so you get a 3rd, 4th line center right there. It costs a little bit of money and $3.5 million, but you have him for this year and 2 years after that, right? Again, Pittsburgh also needs people to play for them. So I think it was a good little flip for Bunting, especially because he's not going to last. He's like 29, right? So he's going to want a new contract next year, and Pittsburgh might not be the ones that want to give him. They're trying to speed this rebuild up. Brian Dumoulin is traded from the Anaheim Ducks to the Devils, and for Tarif Herman, as well as a 2nd-round pick. And the 2nd-round pick is conditional. And the Anaheim Ducks are also they're retaining half of Brian Dumoulin's contract. So who is Brian Dumoulin? Brian Dumoulin is a UFA at the end of this year. He's a 33-year-old D-man. He has 16 points in 61 games. Again, his half of it was retained, but this guy is a defenseman. He actually won a two Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's kind of been bouncing around a little bit. He had Seattle. He was traded to, again, the Anaheim Ducks, now going to the Devils. So he hasn't bounced around a lot, and so that is something that is a little bit of a concern. But again, the concern is you want the guys who are going to be shot blockers, and this is a great depth D. 2nd-round pick is a bit expensive, in my opinion, for that trade. And Anaheim will be getting the better of Edmonton or Winnipeg's 2nd-round picks in this case. High price, but I think because Dougie Hamilton is down, they were willing to pay that price. So I don't hate it, but it's not it's a little tougher one to swallow. And talking about the prospect that the Anaheim Ducks get back, he's you get Herman Traff, and he had some time in the SHL, played had 25 games, 7 points in that season. He's playing in the junior national team right now in the Allsvenskan. Goodness gracious. He's bounced around to quite a few leagues and teams this year. He had 6 points in 9 games. Mind you, he is a 19-year-old right shot left winger. He's 6'3" and a former third-round pick. So basically, Anaheim's getting a second-round pick and a third-round pick from this. So I think it's a great little bit of business for Brian Dumoulin, who, again, UFA, older guy. So they're not going to re-sign him. So that was a good bit of management for the Anaheim Ducks. Moving on to the San Jose Sharks and the Florida Panthers, we get Nico Sturm and a 7th-round pick going to the Florida Panthers, and in exchange, you get a 4th-round pick from the Florida Panthers. Basically, if they win the cup, it's going to be a 5th-round pick, basically. So they end up getting Nico Sturm, a 29-year-old center. To me, this guy's got 13 points in 47 games. A good depth forward. Again, not going to kill it out there. He's not making a ton of money. But again, he's at 13 points in 47 games. He is absolutely he's from Germany. He's from Germany, of course. He actually been on the San Jose Sharks for a couple of years now. He's been here since 22-23. He won a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche, which is why he got the $2 million contract for a couple of years. And so again, a good little piece. You need these depth guys to win the Stanley Cup. And again, I think this is a good little pickup for the Florida Panthers and what they were able to do. Again, it would even cost less than a 4th-round pick because they still got a 7th-round pick back with it. So tight a little bit of business. Again, this guy is basically your Kyle Okposo, that one guy that's in your depth. He might not play a ton, but he might get in the playoffs, and then he gets Stanley Cup rings. And he clearly he was good enough for the Avalanche, so he's good enough for the Florida Panthers. Moving on to the Vegas Golden Knights, they brought an original misfit back. Love this with Reilly Smith. And what they did is they traded. So the Vegas Golden Knights trade their. Again, another one of their 1st-round picks. They traded every pick, I think, since their inauguration besides one, either the pick or the prospect. They traded Brandon Brisson and a 3rd-round pick for Reilly Smith. Reilly Smith wasn't really working out on the Penguins. He was on the Penguins at the start of the year, got traded to the Rangers, didn't really work out. He's got 29 points, 58 games. He started to look better on the Rangers, but again, not like what you want to see for a $5 million player. And so what they do is they trade him over to Rangers, trade him to Vegas. They end up retaining him for about half of the salary. No, that's wrong. No, half. Yeah, they retain about half of his salary. And previously, Penguins had previously retained. Oh, that's what it is. Penguins had previously retained $1.25 million, so that the New York Rangers had him at 3.95, 3.85. Anyways, and then so they retained half of that, 3.125. Sorry, and then so Rangers retain about half of that, and so that's why there is 1.85. So, and then they get again Brandon Brisson, who has played 9 games this season, and basically is playing in the AHL. He's a 6'4" 1st-round pick in 20. Ooh, where are you at? 2020, and again, he was 29th overall. And then again, in the AHL so far this year, he's got 19 points, 45 games. It's not bad. A little bit of business. Again, Reilly Smith. I mean, I think that the New York Rangers should be going on a retool anyways. So I'm not mad about this at all. So I think that's a good, tidy piece of business. And again, they're getting a 3rd-round pick, which I imagine they'll flip maybe at the draft or something like that to maybe move up or something. We saw a goalie swap with Chris Driedger and Kahkonen. So we have Kahkonen going to the Florida Panthers, and the New York Jets acquired Chris Driedger. Chris Driedger was their AHL goalie, and for Florida, he had not played an AHL or NHL game for the Florida Panthers, but he was their backup since they traded Spencer Knight. So Florida needed a backup, so they trade for Kahkonen. He's kind of been a journeyman around. He's played for San Jose. He played for Colorado. Played for the Jets. And before that, he was playing with Minnesota. So he's been bouncing around a little bit. He's still young enough, 28 years old. He's basically going to be their 3rd goalie. I guess he'll be the backup for Florida Panthers. Again, they just need to get into the playoffs. They're not worried about positioning as much because they're going to ride Bobrovsky like crazy. Chris Driedger for the Winnipeg Jets is their 3rd goalie. They have Hellebuck, Comrie, and then Chris Driedger. So again, two top teams in the league just making a quick swap. Again, a quick goalie swap. So Carson Soucy traded from the Vancouver Canucks to the New York Rangers. So there was a little bit of a buy there, right? And they cost him a 3rd round pick. And the reason it cost him a little bit more for a guy like Carson Soucy is that he has not only this year, but he has next year as well on the team. He's got 10 points in 57 games, a good defenseman. Again, you're getting him for a little bit extra. You're getting that extra year, which is why the prices are so high. There's a lot of guys that are not really worth it, I'd say, are being traded for something like this. Again, this is a good, nice, easy move for both teams. Vancouver Canucks, I think they're trying to sell a little bit. I'm surprised they ended up keeping Brock Besser. They didn't trade him. That was a little bit crazy for me. So I'm curious on what your thoughts are and what they're going to end up doing for the rest of this. I guess what's the plan? They're going to still try to make the playoffs, try to knock off the Calgary Flames. Or are they going to sell? What are they doing with Pettersson? Like, there's a lot of different things in the air. So I'm really curious. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Vancouver Canucks. Moving on to the Minnesota Wild and the Boston Bruins. We saw the Boston Bruins trade Justin Brazeau to the Minnesota Wild. He's a 27-year-old right winger. He was a UFA. He's 20 points in 57 games. Again, a nice, good sized guy. He is going to, he's going to the Minnesota Wild, and in exchange, Boston was trying to get younger, right? We saw there's a couple trades today. We're going to be going over them as well. We see Marat Kuznetsov. It sounds like cut your nuts off. He's got 7 points, 57 games with the Minnesota Wild this year. He's 22 years old. He plays center. He's at RFA at the end of this, so I think they're like, hey, let's get younger. That's what Boston's thinking, and so I absolutely like that for them. And also they're reacquiring Jacob Lauko, which cracks me up. They traded him for Vinny Lettieri this past summer, and then they reacquire him. He's got 6 points in 38 games. So again, that's a nice little tip to the hat. Maybe they wanted him back just because they liked how he played. I like that for them. Again, it's just some UFA swapping, and then also the Boston Bruins get a 6th round pick. You get a 6th round pick as well. So, which was originally the Boston Bruins as it is. So, I think it was in the Maroon deal, I believe. Let me see. I'm very sure it was the Maroon deal. Yep. Yeah, it's for the Pat Maroon deal. So, nice little, they get their pick back and everything. Their fate is in their hands for that pick, I'd say. I'll move on to the next trade. We have the biggest trade, I'd say, of the day before trade deadline day. We have, I thought it was a huge overpay. I thought it was way too much, in my opinion. We have Brock Nelson traded to the Colorado Avalanche. He's a center, and William Defer for Calum Richie, who's the Colorado Avalanche's 1st round pick from this past year. Oliver Shillington, a 1st round pick and a 3rd round pick, which is, to me, it's just kind of crazy that it was that high of a price. Let's start with who I think the Islanders won. But we got to talk about who gets, the way you judge it at the time, right, is who gets the better player now, right? Best player right now is Brock Nelson. So we're going to start with the Colorado Avalanche, and maybe long term, we see that the Islanders win this one. I think they do. Brock Nelson, 43 points, 61 games, 20 goals, 23 assists. This guy was the top center out in the league. I mean, everyone was looking to sign him. And so we're like, okay, hey, what's going to happen with him? He gets traded to the Colorado Avalanche. He's 50% of his salary was retained as well for the Colorado Avalanche. And they're also getting William Defer, who is a former 5th round pick, 23 years old, right shot winger, 6'3", 212 pounds, not too shabby. He's going to play mostly in the depth role. He's playing in the AHL with the Bridgeport Islanders, 18 points in 45 games and 49 penalty minutes. Not too bad there. Put some numbers on both. Couple points, almost a half point per game player, and a 49 PIMs is not too shabby for the Colorado Avalanche. Who are they getting back? Oliver Shillington was taken back from the Islanders. I think it was more of a contract thing, because what ended up happening is he was traded to the Anaheim Ducks for future considerations. He's only played 13 games this season. He's got 4 points in that. He's a former 2nd round pick. So again, hopefully he gets a good opportunity with the Ducks and can get another contract. So good for them. The two big pieces, I guess, is Calum Richie, again, who's a former 2023 pick, 27th overall. He played 7 games this season with Colorado Avalanche and got 1 point. And so mostly he's been playing the OHL this year. He's got 67 points in 41 games, over 1.5 per game with 42 penalty minutes as well. So in the World Juniors, he had 2 points in 5 games. He had 14 penalty minutes. Crazy. Clearly killing it in the OHL. Was a great pickup. Probably one of the best pickups of the early pickups of the 2023 draft. I think he's only one of like 10 players that have played so far in the NHL so far. So again, for a guy who is 27th overall, I'd love to see that for them. And again, also getting back that first and third round pick as well. If we're looking at the conditions on these, let me pull it up real quick. The first round condition is, if the 2025, it's a top 10 protected. It's top 10 protected. They will be pushed. So if the Colorado's 2025 first round pick transfers to Philadelphia in a previous trade for Sean Walker, the 2025 first is to Philadelphia top 10 protected, or it is top 10 top 10 in 2026. The Islanders will receive unconditional 2027 first round pick. They're just pushing out all these drafts, man. Holy smokes, they're pushing out as much as they can, which is kind of crazy. Also, a third round pick is conditional. Is it transfers if Colorado wins the Stanley Cup and Brock Nelson plays in 50% of the team's playoff games. So those are the conditions for. It has to be both. He plays in 50% of the games and they win the Stanley Cup as an extra third. So that's an interesting trade. So basically, it's a guaranteed first. Oliver Kylington and Cal Richie. Again, if they win the Stanley Cup, Colorado doesn't care because they won the Stanley Cup. So they're going to just continue that. So we're going to take a quick break because that was a big one. Actually, we'll do this real quick. Oliver Kylington, again, talking about future considerations from the New York Rangers to the Anaheim Ducks. Doesn't cost them anything. Anaheim Ducks needs people to play for them. And so they have Oliver Kylington. Give him a quick couple 20 games or so and see if they want to keep him, resign him. If not, you'll let him go to free agency. It literally costs you nothing. So we're going to take a quick break for DraftKings ad read, and then we will be back right after this. And I'm delaying because I have to pull my ad up. Boom. It might not feel like it, but spring is right around the corner. You know how you can tell? Golfers are hitting the links, and we have some tournaments to talk about. And if you want to do more than just talk, put your money where your mouth is. Get in on all the tee to green action with DraftKings Sportsbook. From Thursday's opening round through the closing round Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with tournament props, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. And if you've never bet on golf before, it's easier than you think. Just pick up something simple like a golfer to win the tourney and make your pick. It's just that easy. Now we got some tournaments coming up. We got the Puerto Rico Open, the Players Championship, the Valspar Championship, the Texas Children's Houston Open. Maybe you can bet for Stefan Jaeger to win. Maybe a little Scotty Scheffler or a little Bryce Garnett. Whatever it is, you can get in on the action. And here's something special for first timers. New to DraftKings customers, bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boo Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. So going back to the page, we're talking about the trades. I got about 5 more trades until we're done. We're actually gonna be hitting up the Stars trade with Mika Rantanen in our next video, so please check that out as well. So we have Anthony Beauvillier going for a second-round pick. So mind you, the Pittsburgh Penguins got Anthony Beauvillier from, I believe, Chicago or is it Nashville? But a second-round pick is expensive for a guy like Beauvillier. The guy only has so far the season he's played 63 games. He's got 20 points. So, a second-round pick is very expensive. And it's not like he has another year on him either. He has a former first-round pick. That is something to consider, right? But mind you, when you look at the trades before, he was not traded for Pittsburgh Penguins. He originally was traded from a 5th-round pick from Nashville to Chicago. And then he signed at Pittsburgh in the offseason and then gets traded again for a second-round pick. That is a huge stock. Love to see that for him. That's good for Pittsburgh Penguins. Kyle Dubas is doing a tight piece of work with his trades. I'm getting some good pieces back and everything. And what I want to do is I'll do a grade video tomorrow, or grade podcast tomorrow on how each team did in the their standings or their trade deadline. And so we'll go from there. I just want to review all the trades first. So move on to Philadelphia and the LA Kings. LA Kings were definitely looking for a winger. And one of the ones they were looking for was Brock Besser. They did not end up getting him because that's within division. It would have cost too much. They do talk to the Philadelphia Flyers, who they've done business with before. And that with Andrei Kuzmenko, and a 7th round pick going to the LA Kings for a 2027 third round pick. Andrei Kuzmenko so far this year, we're looking at his standings. He was originally with the Calgary Flames. He played 37 games there. He had 15 points in 37 games. He had 4 points per 10 games on average. He had 7 games with the Philadelphia Flyers. He put up 5 points in that, which is 7 points every 10 games on average, right? So that is awesome. I'd love to see that for him. He is an unrestricted free agent, so I imagine he wanted too much money. He's faking $5.5 million already. He is Russian, and he used to play with Matt Michkov, so I'm a little surprised they didn't try to extend him. But I get when we look at the prices and everything that we're going back, you get a 3rd round pick and they retain half. So like that's pretty nice. And if they want to, they can re-sign him in the offseason. I don't know if they will. Does not happen very often, but it is a 3rd round pick is nothing to scoff at for the Philadelphia Flyers, who are still in the middle of their rebuild. One of the bigger trades so far this year too, or this trade deadline as well, is we actually saw the Dylan Cozens trade. And you're like, oh man, like must have been with the Red Wings or something like that, or like one of those teams that like is outside of the division. Nope. You see, which to me is a little bit crazy. You see a Dylan Cozens traded for Dylan Cozens, Dennis Gilbert, and a 2nd round pick traded for Jacob Bernard Dockard and a Josh Norris, which to me is so crazy. We're gonna start with the best player in this team in this trade, which was Dylan Cozens, 31 points in 61 games, having definitely a down year this year. We've seen him put up a lot better numbers than this. If we look at what he's done with Buffalo previously, it was 2 years ago, but in 81 games he had 68 points. That's a great production, and so he's definitely down this year for sure. That's nothing to take away from there. But I think Dylan Cozens is a good bet, and the reason that they traded a guy like Josh Norris, who they had high hopes for, and he was only 25 years old. Dylan Cozens is 24. Is that Dylan Cozens is locked up for $7.1 million for this year and 5 years after that. So they're going to be seeing a lot of each other. He was a former seventh overall pick. So finally get the Dylan Cozens saga over with. I think we're going to see him get a huge boost in confidence and excitability because he is now on a different team. He's no longer Buffalo. There was talk about this trade forever. I'm just happy it's over, in my opinion, and we're just kind of done and over with. So talk about the other piece in this is 28-year-old Dennis Gilbert. He's a left shot D, 6'2". He played 25 games this season with the Buffalo Sabres. He had 5 points in 25 games. And so to me, it was a nice little trade, nothing too crazy. I think it's more of an AHL or like a depth guy. It's not huge for the Buffalo Sabres, not too consequential, but it is cool to see and everything. So, and again, and also Buffalo is getting the 2nd round pick because, to me, like Ottawa's getting the 2nd round pick back, which is kind of crazy to me. I thought Dylan Cozens was a better player in my opinion, but Josh Norris is playing better currently. He's got 33 points. He has more points in less games, 33 and 53 for Josh Norris. And plus he's putting up goals. He's got 20 goals and 13 assists. So while Dylan Cozens only has 11 goals and 20 assists. And of course we know goals are worth more, as we know. So Josh Norris, this guy had an injury. It was 2 years ago and he got injured last year as well. 30 points in 50 games last year. And this season he got 33 and 53, so on a good pace as well. But injuries definitely has been an issue with him. And so it's good to see. Well, they're going to get equal value. So it's a good player on 2 teams that are definitely on the uprise. So again, these guys are playing each other for the next like 8, long time, because Josh Norris has 5 years left on his deal, and Dylan Cozens has 5 years left on his deal. So they'll be seeing a lot of each other for the next little bit. They also pick up Jacob Bernard Dockard, which I'm glad the Ottawa Senators move off of. He was the former 1st round pick in 2018, 26 overall. Has just not worked out with the team. He was claimed to one. I think he was claimed at one point. Went to Anaheim. He has 25 games this season, 4 points, or only 4 points. No, this is not the one. It was different for a 1st round pick. But again, even last year, 25 points in 72 games. I think there's a lot of animosity around him, and so I think it's good to get him. Like, he's a right shot D, of course, but he's a depth one. Nice thing is they have him as an RFA, so hopefully he ends up panning out a little better in Buffalo than he does in Ottawa. So again, I think it's just a good, like, hey, wipe your hands clean of the deal and everything. So next pick we're talking about is again, Pittsburgh Penguins. Kyle Dubas is super active. Again, he traded for Luke Schenn already. And so what did he do? What did he get back? A 2026 2nd round pick and a 2027 4th round pick. And what they do is that the Winnipeg Jets take on the full cap it for this year and next year, and you're getting a defensive defenseman in Luke Schenn, 5 points in 61 games. Again, but he's defensive monster. I played over 1,000 games so far in this league. He's, again, 35-year-old D. He's locked up. Again, second round pick is good, tidy business. To me, it's crazy that Nashville didn't do this and just get the picks. I think they really wanted Bunting, but really, like, this could have been, you could have gotten this. Like Pittsburgh got Tommy Novak, a second round pick, a fourth round pick. And then I forget the other piece. But like I said, to me, like, it was just a little crazy that this couldn't be done by the Winnipeg Jets. I think there is some truth that not all teams talk to each other, but to me, it's a little bit crazy. Oh, and Luke Schenn, Tommy Novak. And then again, Kyle Davis flip side gets a second round pick and a fourth round pick. I don't understand why. I don't know why Barry Trotz didn't do this. So either way, it was done by the Pittsburgh Penguins, and good for them. Now, this is our last trade of this video, and we'll check me out in the next video. We're going to be hitting up the Mikko Rantanen trade, which will be very exciting. And again, that's why I'm wearing my Dallas Stars jersey. Womp, womp, womp. And so definitely check out that video. Right after this, I'll be posting probably very soon. So Brandon Tanev, 33 years old, traded from the Seattle Kraken to the Winnipeg Jets. My apologies. And so what are you getting in Brandon Tanev? You're getting a guy, 17 points, 60 games, but again, a workhorse, just an absolute workhorse. He was a UFA as well. So that second round pick is a 2027 second round pick from the Winnipeg Jets. I think we didn't see a lot of movement from the Winnipeg Jets because they wanted to keep the chemistry together. They don't want to like disrupt the locker room or anything. So it's a nice little pickup and everything. So I like this a lot for the Winnipeg Jets. And again, for Seattle Kraken, you're rebuilding anyways. So like it doesn't hurt at all. And again, they could take on their. I'm surprised that Brandon Tanev was only a second round pick. Well, I guess it was because Winnipeg Jets could take on his full contract because they had so much cap space because they didn't do too many like big moves today. So I love this for them. It was a great trade for both teams. And so again, let me know what your thoughts are on all these trades. Like then I thought it was gonna be boring. There's still a lot of fun. I love the press conferences. We're gonna talk about Toronto getting Carlo. We're gonna talk about Rantanen going to Dallas. Whoop whoop. And so yeah, check me out on the next one. I'll catch you later. Hit like, subscribe, and leave a rating if you're on Apple and Spotify. And I love y'all. See you in the next one. Bye.